We are back from our little pumpkin patch date. We went to a very nice independent bookstore as well, and I got a few books from there, of course. So I wanted to show you those as well as some ones I've picked up, mostly special editions from book boxes throughout the months, and then some pre-orders. So let's get into it. I'll start with the books that I've had for a little bit, starting with Immortal Dark. I did mention this in my previous video, but this is the full one with the dust jacket. This is an Owl Crate edition. This one is good. There's no reversible dust jacket and the end papers are all the same. So not as much artwork as I would like there to be, but the edges are really nice. I actually have started this one. I am still 120 pages in because I had to stop and read a couple other books in the meantime, but I do plan on finishing this, though I have seen some videos out, or even just thumbnails and captions talking about how disappointed they were with this book, but I'm gonna read it for myself and see how I feel about it. So we'll find out eventually whenever I finish it. The next book I got was The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. This one I've been wanting to read for a while. I'm also really interested in I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons. I've talked about that one before, I believe, but not this one. And I got the pretty UK edition because I couldn't resist the purple and blue and black look because I didn't really like the US edition. I'll put a photo of what that looks like up as well. I thought this one was prettier, so I special ordered this on Amazon internationally, so it took a while to get here, but it's finally here. This is basically a modern fairy tale. I'll read you the back. Living in peace in her lilac wood, the unicorn didn't know the world had changed or that anything had happened to the rest of her kind. Overhearing a chance conversation, she resolves to venture out and discover the truth. The road is dangerous and the risks are great. If she fails, then unicorns will be lost forever. It's basically a fairy tale classic from Peter S. Beagle, I believe based on the unicorn tapestries from the medieval era, I believe. I could be completely wrong about that. But I'll keep you posted. This one is definitely more of like a cozy fantasy. Another cozy fantasy is Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. This one I got a special Fairy Loot edition. I have yet to read this. Of course, I've seen the Studio Ghibli movie version, but I've heard the book is quite different, and I've been wanting to read at least some book that has inspired Studio Ghibli films, and I think this one is the best one. Very pretty sprayed edges. I mean, this edition is just beautiful. And papers are like this. There's no, oh, there is. Look at this cover, back, and then there's this reverse dust jacket as well. So very happy with this one, and I'm excited to get into it at some point, though it's not really high on my TBR list at the moment. If you don't know the story of Howl's Moving Castle, I'll read this to you. In the land of Ingery, where 7-leagued boots and cloaks of invisibility really exist, Sophie Hatter extracts the unwelcome attention of the Witch of the Waste, who puts a curse on her. Determined to make the best of things, Sophie travels to the one place where she might get help, the moving castle which hovers on the nearby hills. But the castle belongs to the dreaded wizard Howl, whose appetite, they say, is satisfied only by the hearts of young girls. This is already considered a modern classic, so I'm excited to get into it. Last of the books, I actually just received this one and I'm super excited for it, and that is The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clarke. I talked about this briefly on my fall TBR, I believe. It finally came out. This is a short story by Susanna Clarke, so it's very small, very thin, but very pretty. There's illustrations inside as well. I don't know if you can see. I don't want to like ruin anything, but yeah, it's gonna be fun to read. I will try to read it at midwinter because right now I'm reading Susanna Clarke's other short story collection, so I have time. I don't want to rush to this right away. So very happy to finally have received this. And now on to what I got at the bookstore today. First is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I have heard this is a great classic to start getting back into classics. I really want to read more classics, but the length of most of them are a little daunting. So this one, it looks longer than it is. There's a big appendix at the back, but this is like a little over 200 pages, I believe. And I've heard it's a great story and it's the perfect time to read it, so I do want to read it this fall. The next book I picked out is There There by Tommy Orange. Tommy Orange is an Indigenous author, and I've been wanting to read There There from him, as well as Wandering Stars is a new book, but I heard you had to read There There before reading Wandering Stars, so I will. So I'll read you the back. Tommy Orange's wondrous and shattering novel follows 12 characters from Native communities, all traveling to the big Oakland powwow, all connected to one another in ways they may not yet realize. Among them is Jackie Redfeather, newly sober and trying to make it back to the family she left behind. Dean Oxendine, or Dene Oxendine, I'll have to look up the name, pulling his life together after his uncle's death and working at the powwow to honor his memory. 14-year-old Orville coming to perform traditional dance for the very first time. Together, this chorus of voices tells of the plight of the urban Native American, grappling with the complex and painful history, with an inheritance of beauty and spirituality, with communion and sacrifice and heroism. Hailed as an instant classic, There There is at once poignant and unflinching, utterly contemporary, and truly unforgettable. So, yeah, I've heard great things about this book, and so I don't actually read a lot from Indigenous authors, so I really want to start doing that. So if you have any recommendations, please send them my way. I'd love to hear them. And then last, this has become one of my Read Around the World picks for Iceland, and that is The Night Guest by Hildur Knutsdottir. Icelandic is one of the hardest things for me to pronounce, just based on the spelling, because it's never actually how it's pronounced, so apologies for that. But I mean, it's pink, it's beautiful, and it looks terrifying. So I'll read you the inside cover. Idun, I'm sorry once again. Idun is in yet another doctor's office. She knows her constant fatigue is a sign that something's not right, but physicians dismiss her symptoms and blood tests don't reveal any cause. When she talks to friends and family about it, the refrain is the same. Have you tried eating better, exercising more, establishing a nighttime routine? She tries to follow their advice, buying everything from vitamins to sleeping pills to a step-counting watch. Nothing helps. Until one night, Eden falls asleep with the watch on and wakes up to find she's walked over 40,000 steps in the night. What is happening when she's asleep? Why is she waking up with increasingly disturbing injuries? And why won't anyone believe her? So, psychological horror, I believe, and I've been wanting to read more horror. I'm reading a horror book right now, and I'm enjoying it, so I'm glad that this is my next Iceland pick. So that wraps up my little book haul. Stay tuned for some fun date night activities. We're going to be painting / carving some pumpkins and little sculpture things that I mentioned in a previous video. So stay tuned for a fun little movie night.